Like, welcome back to the Smuggler's Cantina. You know the rules. Please remember to tip the Wiki bartenders 30%. No droids, no bounty hunters, no Raylos, no Ray Nobodies. You know the rules. This is not a place if you like the Disney sequel trilogy, like the Aftermath novels, or think the High Republic is some sort of type of good storytelling. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about this. This came out August 28th, and no one's talked about it, so I will. On Inside the Magic, and I have had a very hard time with this author. Her name is Rebecca Barden. So let us assume that she is an SJW, man-hating, anti-Star Wars, feminazi, the descriptors. Let's assume that she is a Raylo. Let's assume that she has never really been a Star Wars fan until she saw Bat Boy show up. Anyway, the headline is Star Wars fans suddenly wish Luke Skywalker cameo hadn't happened. Posted on August 28th by Rebecca Barton. I'm only going to read a few of these just because I want to rage. When Disney Gallery The Mandalorian Luke Skywalker special drop last week, Star Wars fans were in for a treat. The installment gave a special behind-the-scenes look at the making of Season 2 final episode, Chapter 16, The Rescue, which means so many things. The rescue. Not just rescuing everybody, not just rescuing Grogu and then Luke rescuing everybody else, but rescuing a franchise. And I'm going to have a lot to say about certain things. Which saw Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, CGI Mark Hamill, return to the Star Wars universe just after the original trilogy era. The Mandalorian, for those who don't know, is set about 5 years after George Lucas's Star Wars Return of the Jedi, with a lovely picture of Luke looking at Grogu. In addition to Hamill comparing the return of his iconic Star Wars character to James Bond, one of the most interesting tidbits was shared in the Disney Gallery Mandalorian episode was the fact that Chapter 16 director Peyton Reed, executive producer Dave Filoni, and showrunner Jon Favreau and others on the production crew developed an elaborate code to convince fans that Skywalker wasn't actually the Jedi coming back into the story. Oh, please stop doing that to me. All right. To accomplish this, they commissioned elaborate concept art featuring fan favorite prequel trilogy and Star Wars The Clone Wars character Plo Koon. Koon's return would have made sense, specifically connecting to the Filoni directed Season 2, Episode 5, Chapter 13, The Jedi, in which Clone Wars star, fan favorite Ahsoka Tano made her live-action debut. Well, this is, all right, I want to stop right there. Plo Koon is dead. We saw him killed in Revenge of the Sith. So, this bitch don't know what she's talking about. Being the one who found her, Plo took her to the Jedi Temple, where she was to be raised to learn the ways of the Jedi. Through their bond, Plo Koon affectionately calls her Little Ahsoka, and Ahsoka calls him Master Plo. As it turns out, many fans have also attachment to Ahsoka's savior, and some of them wish Koon had come back to Star Wars instead of Mark Hamill's character. Look, Adam Havlick. Look, I'm happy we got Luke Skywalker in the Season 2 finale, The Mandalorian, but I would have absolutely screamed at the top of my lungs, flipped a table if they went with Plo Koon. Fuck you! And that's what this guy looks like. Okay, here. This is what he looks like. Speaking of fat fanboys, okay? Why? I mean, Odin F. Jedi Tenskawanta hilariously suggested the two characters are actually one and the same. Talk about a plot twist for all ages. Well, have you seen Luke and Plo Koon in the same room? Oh God. Okay, and then we get the only guy in Star Wars story group I respect, which is Leland Chi, Star Wars Holocron. Did you know fake concept art and scripts were created to trick cast and crew into thinking the Jedi in the Mandalorian Season 2 finale was Plo Koon rather than Luke Skywalker? All right, and that Odin Jedi, whatever his last name is, I can't pronounce it, made a stupid comment. And then, of course, we get, in light of the news that Koon was used as a red herring, fans have even launched a social media campaign asking Disney and Lucasfilm to create an actual Plo Koon series. Why? Why? One supporter, Josh MDS, wrote, "I need this to happen." All right, and you guys are gonna love this. You guys, all right, get ready to laugh. This is the fan art, reminiscent of something else. Someone has actually bought into the High Republic bullshit. All right. So anyway, what I want to say is this, because this is just it's Troy said this is sour grapes. I mean, there's another one. There's actually this one girl is whatever going off, thinking Plo Koon is still alive. And of course, Captain Dane comes in and says this. But Plo Koon is dead. How would he be in Mando? Duh. He was never meant to be in the show. They literally explain it. He is used as a placeholder to hide the Luke cameo. He was never meant to show up. When dipshits who have way too much time, Twitter warriors show up. As for Luke Skywalker, his return came at the perfect moment in the Mandalorian saga. He swooped in with his X-Wing and green lightsaber just in time to save everybody. I'm kind of being, kind of using word economy there because she couldn't shut her fucking mouth. Now the character is expected to return. A recent poster teased him making a yellow lightsaber with Grogu as a foundling commences his Jedi Order training in The Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka or the Book of Boba Fett, or even the rumored Luke Skywalker series that currently remains unconfirmed. All right, done with that. Here's the deal. I didn't see any names that I would have said, yeah, this is the usual suspects still trying to, I don't know, win points off of as they're being shoved out the door about Luke showing up and kicking their sandcastle. But it does go to show that there are people out there that are really stupid. They go on Twitter, they say stupid shit, and they think that the guy running Disney now is going to take them seriously. Here's the deal, Twitter, listen to me. Bob Chapek doesn't have a Twitter account. He has no fucks to care about you. Okay, he doesn't give a shit what you think because you aren't real. I bet you if you went and looked at, some of the biggest trolls on Twitter against the Star Wars fandom, Star Wars Explained, Jason Ward making Star Wars, rewriting Ripley, the Mary Sue, you just random jagoffs, okay? And you actually there's a way to audit their accounts to see how many are actually real and how many are fake members that are following them. I bet you'd find a majority for each of them have bots. Bots. so they could get garbage trending. That's why they do that. That's why, and actually, that's why Twitter allows it. Yeah, you can buy all these bots, and then you too can start shit in a fake place. All right, this is literally, you are literally, when you're on the internet, even on Facebook, oh, and I'm in 30-day Facebook jail again, because somebody posted a picture in an old school Hollywood page of Jane Fonda, and I normally don't get triggered, but that cunt triggers me, and I went nuts. She's one of the few people I would walk up to and eviscerate verbally to her fucking face. I hate her guts. Okay, I can't help it. Don't get mad. Don't at me. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, these people actually think they're being taken seriously. Like, all right, for instance, let's go back to when Dave Filoni did that interview on Good Morning America. Oh, I hate her guts, dude. Troy, I really hate her. Go back to the Dave Filoni interview before the Bad Batch came out, and you know that fucking weird, bald, skinny dude with this crazy Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, serial killer eyes, with his lizard monkey puppet on his shoulder, with his "Make Solo to Happen" t-shirt, bothering Dave Filoni. Like, you couldn't find anybody normal to just ask Dave questions? You had to get this jackass? It's people like that that actually take Twitter seriously anymore. When this gets going, and when it starts to get more obvious that the sequel trilogy is not going to be revisited. I mean, we've got lies about a Finn project, a rumor about a Finn spin-off project. Sure, if the sequel trilogy had been done right, and on Echo Base, Cameron Pasha had a really good idea. Give the original trilogy heroes an honorable life. Let them be the hero. They earned their character arcs, and they're still growing. Let them be that way. Dignified retirement. Luke is at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, basically taking care of younglings and being like their grandpa. He is the Grandmaster Jedi, but he's no longer really active. Now we got a bunch of young bucks and buckettes that he's trained, including, his niece and nephews and others, including Grogu, out there defending the galaxy and doing, basically making sure that the peace is kept and that the balance of the force is kept. All right, so you got that. You have Han and Leia, Han in semi-retirement. Leia retired, not leading. I mean, George wanted her to actually be the chancellor of the New Republic eventually, and in the EU she was. I think it could be in the past. Oh yeah, you're right, Troy. You're right. I mean, you're right. I think that her being the chancellor in the past would have been a good idea. But as far as her being chancellor in the sequel trilogy and it being her story, no, I don't think each of them needed a story for each movie. All right. I think that they should have given them their moments. Like if Han and Luke go out to have to help the kids, what is that? What happens? Do they go down in a blaze of glory, or do they go off into retirement? I mean, I am still kind of caught between would I rather see Han and Chewie. I hate that idea. I just don't want. I don't want that. So I think an honor, like dying with his boots off for Han Solo, with his everything that he earned, his redemption, all of that, is dying with his boots off, surrounded by his family, is a lot better than going out. And I know a lot of people, hey, glorious, like, duh. No, you don't get it. That ship has sailed by this time, okay? Leia, you know, and with Carrie gone, you could have Leia already gone, okay? And that would be fine. You could have, and Luke, going off the way Yoda did. That would be fine too. But the kids being given a soft handoff, that would have worked. Cameron was right. They didn't do it that way. They went out of their way to take a weed whacker to everything George created, and what they couldn't knock down with the weed whacker, they poured gasoline on it and set it on fire. Okay. And then look at you like, you didn't like it? I mean, at least I think that J.J. Abrams, whom I suspect is worried that his time in as a major force in Hollywood might be coming to a close, because I suspect that he knows Star Wars, that his Star Wars sucked. And hi, Jeremy. And I think he knows that everybody in Hollywood knows that. I think he knows he got lucky with that Warner Brothers deal for Bad Robot. But it doesn't mean that Zaslav has to take it seriously. And that's the thing. And Zaslav, JJ is one of the reasons why JJ is one of the reasons why franchises aren't doing so well. And he didn't, I mean, there's so much wrong with all this, I can't. I really, really can't. Anyway, so, this whole thing when they're bitching about Plo Koon and Rebecca Barton looking for something to write about, which is what that is. But there are a lot of people, and we know who they are, that were fucking pissed off about Luke showing up. And the reason is this: they know the ST is going away. They know by the very fact he shows up changes everything, and it did, and it was intentional on Favreau and Filoni's part. Now, hey Mexican, Iron Man, hey Mike. Oh, no, that's funny. That's funny. They clean out the barn when they're done cleaning the stalls. They take hey, Cinna Dave, they take an actual leaf blower and blow the dirt out. I'm not kidding. It works. The horses don't mind it. I mean, we've got 3 thoroughbreds there, and they're like, meh, and an Arabian. And actually, the craziest one is the Arabian. I mean, that horse is crazy. And the fact she's owned by a little girl just makes me go, because you kind of don't want a 10-year-old working with something that, if it was a cat, it would be a rabid lion, anyway. But yeah, leaf blowers are very good tools for doing a lot of things. They didn't just they just, wow, every time I think about what they did to the sequel, or the original trilogy, I'm like, oh, fuck. Anyway, what else is going on? I don't even know where I was. This is just one of those things where you see people, and it's, like I said, it is the usual suspects. When Luke showed up, Molly Damon and her bitch Alex were doing a live stream, And they were pissed off. They were extremely pissed off because they know it's changing everything. Luke showing up changes everything. I mean, there's several different layers of reasoning why they called it the rescue. Mando and the group goes and rescues Grogu. Then they in turn have to be rescued by Luke. And the third reason is because the franchise is being rescued. Okay. Look for more of this. They've got a good idea on what they're going to be bringing. They don't have to bring back, they don't have to recast these roles anymore. They don't. Shamook and other people like him being dragged into the fold, being brought into the fold. There's some, I know there's some good ideas out there. Now, a little bit about Kennedy. I was on Echo Base Network on Saturday night. Nick had me on. Thank you again, Nick. And my advice to everybody in the end was this. First off, you have the rumor of Kennedy staying until she wants to leave. Then you have, no, Kennedy is out the door. And there's several different ways that she can be out the door. And there are several different ways she gets her contact track extended, but she doesn't get to do whatever she wants anymore. And she's also eventually sooner out the door. Okay. There's more proof that she's out than there is that she's in. And we've had several big channels gushing over this like it's a fact. If I said she's gone and it's a fact without having any proof, without having any verification, I would get excoriated. Doomcock doesn't do that. I don't do it. Andre doesn't do that. All right? Tom doesn't do that. For some reason, the people that want to go along with the Geekosity rumor that was never couched by the author as a rumor, he called it a scoop. They get to say whatever they want and get away with it. Bullshit. Bullshit. Here's the reason why they're full of shit. Okay. Back in 2018, when we all thought for sure Kathy McCunterin was leaving, there was a lot of fake praise for her in the press. Bob Iger, on and on and on and on. I mean, you could look it up on Google. And then they quietly, extend her contract. And it was her that leaked it out, not Disney, which says a lot. There's nothing in the press right now that is singing Kathy Kennedy's praises except for Reddit and Geekosity. I mean, sorry to tell you, Mr. Sutton, you run a nice webpage. It's full of a lot of good information. However, you are not legitimate news. All right? Variety is. The Hollywood Reporter is. Forbes is. Inc. is. The Atlantic is. It's very difficult for me to believe that they're reporting the exact opposite of what you, sir, reported. And what they're reporting goes along with what Cameron and Doomcock have been saying. Not what you've been saying, sir. If I was a judge, I'd say this is indirect evidence, but the evidence points to a lot going on. Let me remind you all, Gina Carano being told she's not being brought back to Lucasfilm was a battle, a strike at Jon Favreau. Oh, that's great, That's great, Mike. Tell Valiant we're thinking about him. Well, Troy, it's not that. He's been lucky with a couple of the things that he's reported. But again, there's nothing that substantiates any of that in the actual press. Okay, so even as an intelligence analysis, and you can't. This is an outlier. Sutton's rumor is an outlier. All right, it's not. And just and like I said on Echo Base, companies change. Companies, because humans and companies come and go. All right, without Iger there, and the fact that Chapek doesn't have any real personal connection to Kennedy, he doesn't have any loyalty towards her. And he wants to fix what's broken. Okay, now, people that go to the parks don't like him. I don't go to the parks. Okay, and I also understand that Disney is really in the financial shitter right now. They have no credit. They can't borrow money. They're like, I would say, I estimate they're over $100 billion in debt already. Oh yeah, Troy. They can't go out and borrow more money. So if they're cutting back in some areas, don't be surprised. If they're raising prices in some areas, don't be surprised. Here's the thing. JPEG wants to put distribution and merchandise, which is, I hate to say this, the creative product, movies, television shows, whatever, to wants to put that ahead of the content creators. And the people who are bitching aren't content creators. They're not the directors. They're not the writers. They're not, they're not the guys that create the stories. It's people like Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is riding on the coattails of Ike Perlmutter. He's not, none of the stuff that was really successful at Marvel was his. The stuff that is not doing too well is his, okay? He's the real bad guy in all this, all right? And I believe, hey, Mazarus, I believe strongly that when push comes to shove, he's going to get pantsed. And I think probably Brian Lord will too. All right. They don't understand that they don't run Hollywood. The shareholders do. The shareholders are I would say these investment banks are some of the most powerful institutions in the world. All right. And how these guys don't understand that, but Hollywood is full of a bunch of self-important, unaware, crazy people, as far as I can tell, as far as I can see. And they're going to learn. But right now, what it looks like to me, and I made this, I said this on Echo Base, it's going to be resolved, and Doomcock had the date, and I'm going to check it out to make sure it's true, but between now and November 20th. We may know by November 20th, we may not know anything. But there should be a good idea of what's coming. They have to say something. Okay. Indiana Jones 5 won't finish filming until November. Okay. Doesn't mean that she's going to be renewed. All right. It doesn't mean that she's going to be renewed. What it means is that the last thing she really kind of wanted to do at Lucasfilm was that. Now, we'll know. I think it's 75%. It'll be, we've extended Kathy's contract till Indiana Jones 5 wraps principal photography, and her replacement will be named at Star Wars Celebration next May. Okay, I could see that happening. And we may not hear a damn thing. Okay, we may just get an announcement next May that John Favreau or John Smith or Kojak Janicek, my dog, are taking over for her. I'm sure John Favreau would get a kick out of him. He's sleeping right now, and it's a good thing. He's not bothering me. So, we've got that. So we'll know either way, I think, something by the 20th. I still say this feels completely different. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think because here's the deal: Taika Waititi didn't say that Lucasfilm was being restructured in a bubble. We've known there's something going on there, and has been for a long time. Okay, Mosa Gupta was the first indication. Then Filoni's showing up, all right, and getting his promotion. Okay, so we've known there's something going on. The fact that it appears that Pablo Hidalgo is on the outside looking in. And I gotta say, the only story group person that I can really see staying now is Leland Chi, and that's because he's been there for donkey's years and has never caused any, rift with the fans. I like the guy. I mean, my interactions with him on Insta have been good. He's just a decent guy. But I think the other story group people like Rain Roberts, who's went on and she's helping develop The Acolyte. A show that's probably never going to see the light of day. Like, I agree with Valiant Renegade, that will never be made. That is never going to be a TV show. Just like I'm still convinced that Rogue Squadron won't be, with Patty Jenkins at the helm. There's too much shit going down at Lucasfilm right now for them to even think about a feature film. And that's the truth. So we'll see. But either way, we're gonna know something. If not before the 20th, by the 20th. If it goes past and nothing's been announced, I'm laying strong odds that she's done. That I don't foresee Bob Chapek being inclined to extend her contract either. It could also be he extended it for a year and then that's it. Because I gotta tell you something. We're not the only ones that are worried about what's going to happen with Indy 5. I think it's going to be a good show. Shoot me. Don't at me. Harrison Ford getting hurt and the subsequent usual suspects dancing on that and getting accolades. The Mangold Slayer, that was a troll. That trolling to bait somebody into an argument. Okay? That's what that was. There wasn't anything heroic about what that tweet was about. Okay, nothing. I mean, I'm married to a Bronze Star recipient. I know what a hero is. All right? My father was a decorated veteran of World War II. Okay? I know what a hero is. All right? Heroes don't go on Twitter baiting people into arguments over movies that they haven't seen, haven't even gotten a trailer for. Okay? The reality, I worry about the narrative that the movie is going to be bad. The ageism, the attacks on Harrison Ford by people who I have never met a cheeseburger they didn't like. I worry about that movie failing because of that. And granted, it's going to help get rid of Kennedy. All right. But am I willing to sacrifice my favorite actor and the character that he loves so much to play for getting rid of her? You know, is it going to take her wrecking the Indiana Jones franchise for you know what I'm saying? So I'm not really, you know, and it won't necessarily be her either because her husband was involved. Steven Spielberg's the executive producer. We've got a really great film director and James Mangold in there. And I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice decent people just to get rid of her. You know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, Kevin Feige could be looking at that. And the rest of Hollywood could be saying, this movie is not going to do well. And Feige could be going, I'm next. I'm next. Which is why all this other shit's going on. It's very interesting to me watching this all play out. Time's it. Okay. And it's kind of sad, I think. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about something else. Mexican Iron Man was doing Loki's Morning of Mischief this morning, and I was on for probably a half hour, 45 minutes. And somebody, you know, fans like to say the raging fanboy rage porn statement, Star Wars is dead, Star Trek is dead. No, they're not. I'm not even going to say Star Trek is dead. The reason why it's a franchise. Okay? When you have problems going on there and you need a desperate, a change of direction, that doesn't mean the franchise is dead. It's not doing well. Okay? Star Wars isn't dead. Okay? So to the people that go to the fanboy rage porn channels and you know, emote this emotional hyperbole bullshit, go and take a good hard look at yourselves. Okay. There's lots of good going on with Star Wars right now. Okay? There's lots. We've got Mandalorian. We've got good word so far on Kenobi. We've got really good word so far on the Book of Boba Fett, directed by Robert the Badass Rodriguez, okay? We've got all kinds of stuff going on, all right? And when people say shit like that, it pisses me off because it's not true, all right? Then you have people bitching about Disney, wanting to burn it all down. May I remind all of you that Disney isn't just a company that employs Kathy Kennedy and Kevin Feige and a bunch of other woke slobs. They basically are one of the anchors of Central Florida industry in Orlando, okay? And one of the anchor industries in Anaheim, California. They employ hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. You got the park in Paris, and, you know, I'll count Hong Kong and Shanghai, but I don't think they're going to have those very much longer, but that's another video. That's another stream. They employ, oh, you did, no, you were fine, dude. You were fine. Just I saw someone in the chat say that Star Wars is dead. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You've got all this good stuff coming. Well, it's on Disney. And Disney is a company. I've said this before. I'll repeat it again the second time today. Companies change when the personnel change. Companies are no more or no less than the people who lead them and the people who work for them. Okay? Yeah, and Mazurs is right. Star Wars has got good things coming. All right? So to say it's dead and not to give any of these shows and not to give Jon Favreau a chance sickens me, especially after watching him and Dave Filoni talk about the fans. All right? When Jon Favreau talked about the fans, I got choked up and I started crying. He is one of us. Okay? I hate to break it to you guys. I hate to tell you that. But he is one of us. Okay? Dave Filoni, even if you might not like some of his stuff, is one of us. I don't particularly like Rebels, but it's not necessarily the stories. It's the fact that I can't stand Freddie Prinze Jr. All right? Even the sound of his voice makes me want to vomit. No. It was somebody in the chat, in Loki's chat, that said it. You didn't say anything. You were talking about something completely opposite. And we've got, I think it was a Hollywood Reporter that put out the rules of the franchise. There's a reason why they did that. They see what's going on at Star Wars. And they see what's being changed. They also looked at Cobra Kai. I didn't like The Karate Kid. I didn't watch it. I have never seen an episode of Cobra Kai. And to be honest, I don't want to because I don't want to get into it. It's a very rare that I get into a TV show. I do like Yellowstone. I loved Longmire. Yeah. And they were, they're fixing what was broken, and you got to give them a chance, all right? The idea that it's dead and it's never coming back and blah, 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 Disney, blah, it's like, where did you hear that, Dave? Because I don't go to, yeah, it does have more than one meaning. It has three meanings. Rescuing Grogu, Luke rescuing them, and then Dave and John rescuing the franchise. That's what that is. And no, again, Grogu is George Lucas. That's where the name came from. All right? That is a shortened form of him. Okay? In fact, we may find out someday his daughter used to call him that. I wouldn't doubt it. Lots of personal stuff. Koji, just a minute. What's wrong? Koji, what's wrong? Somebody must have come up to the door and dropped something off. I don't think they've been let go yet, at least some of them. But the way Pablo talks on his public account on Twitter makes me strong suspicion that he's on the outside looking in and he's not coming back. If you remember, Dave, I ran an intelligence sting. Actually, a friend of mine did, in my request, ran a sting on him, and he said something very profound. He basically said, after my friend said, to him, after Kathy's gone, are are you leaving? Maybe you should leave now. Maybe it's for the best. Perhaps that's for the best. May the force be with you. And Pablo said something that I didn't expect. He said, not what I thought, which was a snarky attack, personal attack. He didn't go off in a rage. He didn't ignore him. He didn't say something snide and condescending. He didn't do any of the Pablo things. He was very candid, veiled, but he said enough to make me think he's out. After 20 years, I don't have any plans in particular, and I don't know what hers, her being Kathy, I don't know what hers are. And then a couple of trolls showed up, and after some investigation, we were both convinced that they were probably him. I think he's gone. I think part of it is the reason why is because his ideas on Star Wars and good storytelling are just, wouldn't even make it onto fanfiction.net. They're just shit. I mean, look at the High Republic. He has antagonized the fans. He's not, hi buddy. Oh, he's a guard dog. He's a guard dog. He has done absolutely nothing to help the franchise. Okay, so when Pablo said that, and he said that about Kathy, I'm pretty sure that she's not going to be there very long. All right, even if she does get a short extension, she's done. And Pablo is, I mean, look at, read between the lines. I keep meaning to put that tweet on the community page so you guys can see it. Read between the lines. It was a very profound statement, and I was like, you know, that's a hell of a lot more evidence right there from somebody who's been a pillar of jackassery on behalf of Lucasfilm since 2012 than Mike Sutton's rumor. Okay? So, are they going to stay? I would say Leland Shee is probably still going to be there. I don't see Rain Roberts staying. I also don't see Matt Martin staying. Maybe he will. He hasn't been nearly the snotty jackass on Twitter that Pablo is. But he has connections to Rewriting Ripley. He has retweeted them. And shitty Star Wars takes, which is they say it's a fan-run Twitter page, but I think it's probably someone that's connected to Lucasfilm because Pablo retweets him on his public account. And if you remember, that thing has been up for a while, but Rewriting Ripley suddenly appeared on everybody's radar. I mean, right after Luke's arrival in The Mandalorian. So all of these were shots at Favreau, the fans, Filoni, and the change is coming. All right. Rewriting Ripley apparently is a podcast with like 2 or 3 girls that are just woke Raylo cunts. Okay, and I'm going to use the word cunt. I don't care. This is not suitable for work anyway, this broadcast. Well, yeah, and I know for a fact that Pablo is out. When you see what he tweets, is so pathetically, I'm a big Star Wars fan. You know, you haven't shown it. You haven't shown it. Because my thing is, you don't, first off, what he wrote in that tweet was profound. Second of all, the way he's behaving, at least in public, is a 180 from what he used to be. And I sense a lot of regret. I sense a lot of, a lack of, he realized he had endangered his own job. Yeah, I mean, he has, but I don't. Look, Kathy stays, a lot of people are walking. All right. He stays, a lot of people are walking. Because he can't help himself. Remember back in 2018, he left Twitter in a rage for a while. Then he came back and he started doing it all over again. Well, what is past is prologue, as Shakespeare wrote, and there's nothing truer under the sun. If Pablo did it in 2018, he will do it in 2025. Okay? The bastard can't help it. That's who he is. He's. There was an article about him, and I'm going to go look for it, and maybe I'll talk about it someday, that talked about what a terrible thing it is for a guy like that to be at Lucasfilm. I mean, basically, it alluded to him as the worst of the fandom. All right. And he, it's really, yeah, Darth Hester, that's what they've been saying, but if you watch the beginning of the video, because they're yelling into the void right now, because I don't think Bob Chapek has any fucks to give about Twitter. No fucks given, okay? And you really can't blame him for that. You can't. It's just, I imagine him being tired of it. I imagine him being with it, and he doesn't want to hear about it because it's not real. When you have Twitter accounts with thousands of followers and you don't know where they came from, you can rest assured that most of the followers are fakes. All right? And, like we're all fine in saying, an SJW can scream and shout about something, but they don't buy tickets to go see the movies, and they don't buy the merch. Okay, they don't. And money talks, bullshit walks. All right? So, back to Pablo and back to what I foresee happening. I think he's gone. I think Rain Roberts will move on. They may keep her around to pretend to develop that stupid TV show, but they could actually come up and say the Acolyte can be made, it's just not going to be Star Wars. That worked for me. No one's going to want to watch it anyway. They could, I don't think Matt Martin will be there. I don't think a lot of those people will be there. Because, again, Lucasfilm is restructuring, and according to the first Variety article that came out, Chapek is looking to restructure more in the fall. So, and that, and if you look at the people that are leaving Disney, it is a plethora of Kennedy allies. A plethora. I mean, it's like the entire chemistry of the company and office culture is going. Okay, that's a huge thing, and that is a huge signal. Again, Mike Sutton is just out here going, I think he was given the line from the Kennedy loyalists, or somebody that works at Marvel, because I know that there are probably a lot of people that are worried if Feige goes, they'll go. And that's where I think that's coming from. But there's nothing in the press that would lead me to believe he's right. Now, I could wake up tomorrow morning and Variety will have something, and I'll be pissed off. But I don't think so. Not this time. And if they do something, it's not going to be a long, multi-year contract. I mean, Sun was back on Pop Culture Break, Minefield, and Gary was talking about this. And of course, if I presented them the argument that I just presented you guys, Gary would kill me. He wouldn't listen because people like that don't want good things to happen. Period. Being depressed and miserable and and spreading misery and raging constantly is not the way to live. Okay, you can't do that. There's no proof in the press. There's indirect evidence of something going on at Lucasfilm, and it became very obvious after Gina was told, get the hell out, never come back. All right? And I'm also going to go into this. You guys know that I was part of a fan group for an actor, and I basically, one of the things I did when I first got to DC was I planned events for different groups, and it was very interesting to me how no one knew what they wanted to, these girls wanted to do, a meet and greet with the actor, and I said, let me handle it. I got the bar, I got the restaurant bar, and he showed up, and it was kind of surreal and weird. This was at a time when I thought he was a really great guy and really great actor, and really enjoyed his work and thought he was hot. And I think he's just a dipshit. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I think Maze might know. Not for public, by the way. Anyway, after that, it became very obvious that the person who ran the biggest group, blah, blah, blah.net, basically ran a power play against everybody else. Okay, because basically that actor and her inside baseball shit that she wanted belonged to her, and she didn't want anybody else horning in on that. And she also had a weird kind of fetish for him. And I got a bunch of evidence and sent it to his agent, and all hell broke loose. But I got shit too, okay? I got shit too. Here's the deal. First off, this is the obvious thing it taught me. Never go into a group of all women thinking it's going to turn out well. Because if you have more than 3 women together, they all hate somebody in that group. Or there's 2 that hate 3 of them, or they just don't. They don't get along. They really don't. It's all fake bullshit. And the more popular a woman thinks she is with her peers, the faker she is, okay? And that's the truth. And that goes for men too, but women it really goes. And I see that in the fandom menace. I mean, there are a couple of bigger YouTubers, at least Mecha Random and a couple more, that I find disturbingly shallow and disturbingly fake. And I hate that shit. I fucking hate that shit. I'm really impressed with Force of Light. Those 2 girls are great. And I'm impressed with Nina Infinity and Lorena Creole and a few others. But there are a couple not in that group. No, there are actually 3. One is just, I wouldn't let this girl near my dog, if you know what I mean, that are fake AF. There's something to be said about authenticity. I learned that. I also learned, get ready, Purple Valkyrie is cool too. I also learned this, that an actor or an actress or any celebrity should never befriend fans, ever. So when I saw a tweet by Gina Carano complimenting somebody in the fandom, I cringed, and that it wasn't Drunk 3PO. And the reason is this, that is going to come and bite her in the ass. This connection to these people, if she was connected to me, I'd say, look, I want to interview you, and that's it. All right, we're friendly. I don't want to be your friend. Because people will start looking at me differently, okay? I'm just a non-professional media person, okay? It's going to come back and bite her in the ass. And I would tell her, you need to start distancing yourself from them. And it's not because the bullshit of their hate group, they're not. But they're not honest about why they're doing what they're doing. They're in it for the money. They're in it for the notoriety. They're in it for a little power trip. Okay, that's fine. And when all this shit started going down, I know why she reached out to Drunk. Drunk is a nice guy, all the rest of the stuff. But reaching out to fans like that, in that way, I've seen it happen to other actors too. It's gonna it'll bite him in the ass. It happened to Ewan Griffith, all right? He's in a new show coming up soon. I'm gonna say on Amazon Prime. I can't remember what it's called. I've related this story before, but I'm going to again because it was right after, it was like 10 years after the shit that went down with the other idiot and their peers. Their peers from the British side of the acting profession, or UK acting profession, because one's Welsh and the other's not. The other's Gaelic in that respect, Celt, but he's not Welsh. Ewan Griffith, he played, he was in Titanic. He was in that, a movie, oh God, what was it called? Shit, it was he was in Amazing Grace, too, about William Wilberforce and the banning of slavery and the slave trade. Hey, see, man, the slave trade in England, okay? His biggest fan club reached out to him and he started a friendly conversation. And it literally shocked me what happened. So everything's going well, blah, blah, blah. Ewan Griffith then gets engaged to this lovely blonde woman. The president of the fan club lost her shit. And he finally had to disengage from all of it and his fans, and it was ugly. And I don't know how much of it got out into the press, but it was ugly enough for him to say no more. And that group disbanded because of what she did. She went full on from being a friend and a fan to I own you, that kind of shit. Now, it sounds like it's only women that would do that. But I would caution Gina to be very careful about who she's being friendly with, because you don't do that with fans. Movie stars back in the day, there was a buffer between us. A movie star, Clark Gable, and the rest of us. When we saw them on the silver screen, they looked like gods. Okay, that was the way they were marketed too. Nowadays, turn on Twitter and you see Mark Hamill raging about Donald Trump, okay, for something he didn't do. You see Freddie Prinze Jr. getting in arguments with Star Wars fans. You see Brie Larson saying stupid shit. You see, you know what I'm saying? The wall between the fan and the star has crumbled. And I'm going to say this, it's not a good thing. It is not a good thing. It is a bad business decision, I think, to be connected in a personal way with any of us. Okay? Where they're equals and we're not. And what is best for them is probably not going to dinner and hanging out and doing stuff with us because you start a power grab. Start a power grab. And I would tell her, Gina, you might want to think about disengaging. Anyway, I've been on for over an hour. Apparently somebody was rumored to be playing Sabina Wren. I don't particularly care for too much for the character. She's literally not. She's literally one of the characters in Star Wars I really don't need in my life, but whatever. Anyway, Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy, and you know, I'm gonna speak the truth. And if somebody out there doesn't like it, I'm sorry, but this is, you know, something that I've been thinking about ever since the oh, you're right, Maze. This is something that has bothered me since Gina started paying attention to us. Okay? I'll leave you with this. If I knew Mark Hamill personally, if I knew Harrison Ford personally, if I knew Clint Eastwood personally, if I knew his son Scott personally, if I knew the late Carrie Fisher personally, none of you guys would know that. Because I wouldn't say a word. That's how that goes. Anyway, Steph, I'll see you around the galaxy.